this is the first of the official webcasts where I will be reading all of Eden by Fry in tiny little short installments starting today. If you don't know what Eden by Fry is, don't worry. There's a little introductory video wherever you find this, either on Facebook or on YouTube or on Instagram. And also there's a website, of course, called Eden by Fry. That's Eden, one word, Eden by Fry, FREI.net, which is also where you can read along if you like. If you want to not just listen, but also read what I'm reading here, it's available there online. You can listen in if you like. Today is the first day, so this is all still very much experimental. If all goes well, and if the technology works, and if you keep wanting to listen to this, then I will be doing this on a twice-weekly basis, on Mondays and Wednesdays. At 6:15 London time, that's 6:15 British summer time, and then we'll see how it goes. And so really, without any further ado, I want to introduce you to Dimensions. This is the first of 12 Eden miniatures. Eden by Fry is structured into 12 sections. Each of these sections comes in its own little paperback, if you want it. They are available. And the first one of these is called Dimensions. And Dimensions really is, if you like, the scene setting. That's probably why it's called Dimensions. It sets the parameters within which this piece of conceptual storytelling is taking place. So you fairly soon will get to the main framework story where we find out why all of this is happening. But it also, very importantly, I suppose, sets the tone and the language and the format, which is simply not linear plot-driven storytelling, but I suppose I would liken it more to a landscape. So if you like your stories to be really action and plot driven and really go from one thing to the next and in a linear fashion where you can anticipate what's happening next and then there's a cliffhanger, then this might all be a little bit unusual for you. Whereas if you like your stories more like a landscape into which you can wander and meander and look around, and then suddenly there's something that maybe attracts your attention for a while that doesn't quite seem to fit anywhere, but then ultimately it probably will. Then you'll feel right at home in Eden, which is, after all, a garden of sorts. So think of Eden as a garden, and you'll feel just perfectly fine there. Dimensions is the first of 12. It's the setup, and from this, I'm going to read for you number 1, Onomatopoeia. The sound of the wheels has me mesmerized, decrescending upbeats as the train slowed down to a halt, and doors open, following an interminable, inexplicable, insistent, though surely unnecessary delay, during which everybody waits, and the impatient poke at unilluminated button. A woman with a violent bird's nest for hair waddles past me, wafting a scent of female exuberance right up my nostrils. Reluctant, I inhale. A humming headache from the night before sharpens into a short sting of pain. Doors close. The carriage yields to a lethargic tug of tucked-away engines. Impertinent red. This train is altogether too colourful for this time of morning. I have new hairs on my belly. Whatever for? Hairs on my ears, too, and unruly nostrils. My body makes a mockery of me. The train, now approaching platform 11, is the 0816 South Western service to Guildford, calling out. From neighbouring platforms, their own litanies of suburbia, commuters coming to town, to town. My eyes defocus midway round the Clapham Junction sign. I do not want to be here. The sign cares naught. It stands proclaiming interchange. All passengers should change here, ideally. That would be fun. If every train that stopped here, all passengers got off from and boarded another train, any other train, bound for a random destination, their daily chug would instantly cheer. Wonder whither will I today? Uckfield? Delightful. The new hairs are an issue, as are the clusters of cells causing the skin to bump now in places. My doctor reassures me they're harmless, just keep an eye out. But these notwithstanding, and disregarding the hum in the head, which has since pitched down to an almost agreeable rumble, I feel surprisingly gruntled. Another train, another gorge of goers to work. I can't take my eyes off the eyes of a man hanging over a low-standing station sign, talking on his mobile. 4 tracks and 3 platforms separate us, and his hanging is most unusual, as if the sign were the stocks and he the miscreant, but nothing there to hold him firm in his trap, save gravity, our perpetual friend. He looks straight at me, but I don't think he sees me. I think he sees a giraffe or a marmot, perhaps more likely a kangaroo. I have never been mistaken for any of these, but kangaroo likes me most, it being so resoundingly antipodean, which, just for clarification, I'm not. To my right, in the polite English morning light, a man in his 20s in shiny grey suit trousers, jacket off, and a shirt as blue and clean as the sky. I feel like standing next to him and putting my hand on his shoulder, inclining my head towards his collar and breathing in the warmth of his neck where his hair is tapered, folding my arm then around him and laying my hand on his chest just there by the mound of his major pectoral. But I don't, lest he take umbrage. The 0826 South Western service to Shepperton, calling at Earlsfield, Rains Park, New Malden, Norbiton, Kingston, Hampton Wick, Teddington, Fulwell, Hampton, Kempton Park, Sunbury, Upper Halliford, and Shepperton. I've done it before, I can do it again. As the laggards are lighting dissemble, I ease myself off my own signpost that I've been leaning against, and, catching blue shirt man in profile, features untroubled by worry or strife, a young man's face of little care and littler consequence still, I board that train, God-forsaken though it may be. My destination, supposedly, on this journey is Kingston. Not Kingston, Jamaica, but Kingston, Surrey, upon Thames. It is pretty in a home counties kind of way that elevates ordinary to a virtue and says it's all right as long as it's nice. Kingston is nice. And since Patval has branched out there, it's also in one pocket scrumptious. not to mention the 7 brothers from Afghanistan who set up shop here as purveyors of superfine wraps. But they didn't last long, more's the pity. After 10 in the evening, in an attempt at making things just ever so slightly more cumbersome than strictly required, the station master shuts the entrance and you have to go looking for a side door, hidden some 20 yards down the road. There's a market in the morning, and the flat-spoken barista girl at Costa aims to bewilder with an unreasonable array of options for your coffee, and fairly succeeds. Nay, Kingston is not unusual. The fact that I fall asleep on the train can easily be explained. The fact that I wake up on the Bosporus may be less so, but you breakfast where you rise, and it is not for me at this moment to challenge that principle any more than to question the logic that claims to govern geometry or time. So I follow my instinct down a steep alley not far from the Swedish and French embassies, retracing my steps as best I can to an oasis of friendship I remember as in a dream. The Limon Lupace, a garden of peace. And that is it for today. That's the first installment of Eden by Fry, here read to you live. You can of course catch this later. I'm going to keep these videos on YouTube, on the dedicated Eden by Fry YouTube channel, and on Facebook, my own Facebook account for anybody who knows me or who wants to look me up there. And it's also going to go then onto my Instagram account. So that's the first one done. I think the ice is broken, so to speak. We've got one done and many, many more to go. I hope to see you again in 3 or 4 days' time. Next Monday will be the next one. So until then, have a wonderful end of the week and weekend, and catch you next time on Eden Live.